You'll notice now that joining me in the studio, I've got two new guests, but not necessarily new if you were watching Brett's show earlier, because Neil and Lizzie, you've already been on having a chat with Brett, haven't you, earlier this morning?
Yep.
But you've been out and about since then. You've been out onto the reserve at Minsmere with a very specific challenge. Now, just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
So we set ourselves a bit of a mission. We wanted to see if we could find Minsmere's top 5. So.
And they are?
Oh, God, not again. Okay. Bittern.
Yep.
Marsh Harrier.
Yep.
Bearded Tit.
Yep.
Oh,
Otter.
And Avocet.
And Avocet.
And Avocet. OK. Now, that's a big challenge in itself, but there are other obstacles in your way. So just tell us a little bit about that. Neil.
So, as a wheelchair user, you can tell, but normally I'm in a wheelchair. It's quite a bumpy ride out there.
Okay.
Depends where you go, but there's some really nice paths. Last time I was on, I had a little incident with the sand trap.
OK.
But we knew where it was, so we avoided it this time.
No, what happened there?
Well, I sort of got my wheel stuck, and my carer ended up shoving me in the sand.
OK.
But part of the adventure of coming somewhere like Minsmere is sort of getting out and about and having a bit of a sort of fun ride. And I would say, there were bits where I needed a bit of help.
Yep.
But that's okay, I'd be here with friends anyway, and that happens in town. So, yeah, it was brilliant, and we had a really nice trip.
And what about you, Lizzie?
So my experience is I am now well enough to walk for a while, but after about 20 minutes, I'll need to sit down. So things like benches are really important. Similarly, flat paths and sturdy paths are important because that just takes less energy. It's less tiring to walk on sturdier ground. So having a bench with a back is good. Being able to sit in a slightly warmer hide than the outside is good to help temperature.
So for anybody that wasn't watching before, Lizzie, you have ME, which does how makes you feel how?
Okay, so basically it's a multi-system disease, but it particularly affects the nervous system and the immune system.
Okay.
People talk in terms of symptoms because they don't really understand yet everything that's going wrong in the body. So the symptoms are fatigue, post-exertional malaise, which means after you've done a walk or a bit of activity that would be fine for anyone else to do, you feel really tired and wiped out. And then other things like the temperature regulation and sensitivity to light and sound. So having bits that are shaded, having quieter corners where there's a bench to rest or going into the hide, that's brilliant for me.
So there's things that you both have to think about when you're thinking about going on to any nature reserve, not just Minsmere, anyone at all. How did you get on the challenge then? Have we got any pictures? I think we might have some pictures coming in.
Okay.
How did it go?
Okay, well, so on the North Ridge we did quite well.
Oh,
so
just before we do, because we're looking forward to that, but just take a look at the live cameras because... Watervole live.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Either of you seen one of those?
Not here.
Okay.
No, never, actually.
Really?
I actually have. I've seen one of those. There's one that lives, or used to live when I was younger in my village. So we had a beck running right through the middle, and I know that was a watervole, and it was amazing little thing to see. But
it's not in our top 5, is it?
It's not in your top 5, no, which we'll get straight back to, but I think it's just eating a bit of... is that a bit of apple that's been put down there?
Yeah.
We're lucky to get them at the London Wetlands Centre, which is my local reserve.
Oh, great.
And they have loads there, so...
Brilliant, and it shot off
and
there.
Now it's gone.
It shot off there, so let's go back to your big 5 then. How did you get on?
So we were on the North Wall. Oh, that's a good pick. I'd like to claim that one. Anyway, so we were on
Is
the
that
North
your
Wall.
one?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow, nice shot. Okay. What have we got there then?
That's a bearded tit. You can see it right in the middle.
Wow. That's
just
I mean,
about.
You'd want good eyesight, wouldn't you?
But we weren't expecting you to be able to. To be honest, we weren't thinking you were going to be able to get that one.
So yeah, we were told we'd get maybe one.
Yeah, 1.5 was your...
Yeah, one and a bit.
estimate.
So we got the bearded tit, but actually just before this, we just sort of arrived on the pathway, and there's reed beds either side, and they sort of fly over, and we heard a bittern boom.
Wow.
So we counted.
Are you counting that then?
We counted that as a half.
Yeah, and it was something that I'd never heard before as well. It's
Amazing
such an exciting sound.
Yeah, it's cool, yeah.
Amazing sound. Okay, so we've got bearded tit, we've got bittern booming, so we've heard it. What about the others?
So next up was Avocet.
Yep. So we went out of the rebed and went into the hide to look at the scrape.
Yep.
Obviously a completely different habitat. And we found the avocets easy.
Easy.
They were everywhere, yeah.
Easy peasy. I know.
Common as muck. But we also saw an avocet chick on the bank, just having a little run along.
We were having a quick look at those actually earlier on the cameras there, but yeah, I think they are quite vulnerable out there on the scrape, those avocet chicks.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Not
So
an easy thing to see. What was that? What was that?
So this is a really lame picture of a marsh harrier, but we did see it.
Are we talking about that little dot right in the middle?
Yeah, like
okay.
Above the tall tree. Yeah.
Well, that's
It's
well
not-
done you.
It's not a fleck on the camera, and there were two of them. And if you have amazing eyesight, you can zoom in. You'll see the sort of feathering of the wings. So we definitely knew it was there.
Wow.
So that's what we got: bitten booming,
Yeah, half.
bearded tit,
Yep.
marsh harrier. But then when we were in,
Avocet. And
then when we were in North Hyde,
you did not.
we did.
You didn't.
We did.
You've seen an otter?
No.
Wow.
No, it was the bitten. So there was just this big thing like gliding along, and it was like amazingly big. I think when they're in the reeds and they're sort of camouflaged and you can't really see them, you can't tell how massive they are.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
Wingspan is. I just got a bit excited and I was like gulping, and I didn't actually take a photo. So.
And is that your first bitten?
I seen them at London Wetland Centre.
Okay.
Never seen them flying before.
My
Never
first
seen them
bitten.
booming.
First bitten. That's amazing.
So it flew over the reeds and then
Back
landed.
to live
Oh,
waterfall.
sorry.
No, you carry on, but just say back to live. Shots of that live waterfall there.
So wherever he is, it was flying over the top.
Yeah.
And then it landed, and then we were all sort of super excited. And then about 2 minutes later, it took off again.
Well, I think you've done super well on the challenge this afternoon because we didn't think it was an easy one that we were setting you. In terms of the site here, though, how accessible did you both find it?
I love it here. I think it's brilliant. It's weird because it's such a massive site and so many different habitats. So you're in a woodland. So when you're in a woodland, it's a bit muddier and there's sort of leaves and twigs and things like that.
Yeah.
But the path there was totally fine.
Okay.
There's a few gravelly bits, but they're sort of compressed gravel. So with a bit of help from your friends, it's fine. And lots of really good pathways with really good vistas. Because one of the things being a wheelchair user is I'm actually a little bit lower than everyone else.
Okay.
So getting up high is really useful.
Really useful, yeah.
And
yeah.
also one of the things I love about the sort of infrastructure was the Hyde. They have a little sort of cutout bit for a wheelchair user with a window that you can flip up that's at a lower height. So I have exactly the same. So we were sitting next to each other, but you were maybe like
everything.
6 inches high, and we were sort of flicking between binoculars, camera, binoculars, trying to sort of capture our top five. And, yeah.
And what about...
But clearly we have different abilities.
Yeah. What about for you, Lizzie? How did you find the site?
Yeah, I found it was good.
Yeah.
There were like benches around and everywhere. That was brilliant. The hides were like nice and like calming and everything. And I think it just proves that accessibility, it doesn't have to be like at the cost of wildlife. Like you can still have wildlife and an accessible reserve, and we've proved that we had like an hour and a half, and we saw 4 out of the top 5 species, and we were able to get around and go where we wanted to.
The other thing I would say actually, which was quite nice going around the reserve, was that I saw a couple of other wheelchair users and people maybe on crutches or older people on sticks and prams as well.
Okay.
And I thought actually that's really cool. So clearly I'm here having a good experiment of the accessibility, but people are coming here of their own accord because they want to come to Minsmere because it's great.
Yeah.
But either they've done their research or they're making the assumption that it's accessible, and that's great because it is.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to hear your thoughts on that, actually, and on the Big Five as well. Lizzie, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions because obviously we met back doing Autumn Watch, didn't we? How's your story kind of progressed since then? And in a way, what had happened before it?
Okay. For 18 months before then, I had been stuck at home. Going up to Leighton Moss for Autumn Watch was a massive journey for me. And it was just about what I could do. Now I know I'll be able to do it again. My energy levels have increased. I've started to do more of the things I love, which is going out more, seeing more friends, writing, which I'm really enjoying, really passionate about.
Yeah.
So just, the thing with ME is it goes up and down.
Yeah.
So it's sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, but gradually I'm definitely getting there. And, having a great family, great friends, and a great, passion that keeps me inspired is helping.
It means a lot. I don't want to take you back too far, but points with the illness mean that you really can't do quite a lot of things, really. There are points when you're so tired that it's difficult to raise your arms, is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly
so
right.
So that made things pretty difficult.
Yeah, so if I did want to look out of the window, I would have to be propped up with pillows. I wouldn't be able to use binoculars. So we had to think about how we can attract the wildlife really close to the window so that it was something I could see without having to use the energy of holding up the binoculars. And that's common for people with ME. Sometimes they're housebound, sometimes they're bedbound for a number of years potentially. So yeah, it's a serious thing.
And there will be people watching who are in a similar situation to you. How did you encourage the wildlife to come to your window so that you could have those experiences?
Well, we put up bird feeders. Obviously birds are like one of the easiest things to see. So we have bird feeders with different types of foods. So we had the seeds, which attracted all the finches, the green finches, the goldfinches. We had suet pellets, which attracted the dunnocks and the robins and we have like an overhanging sort of greenery thing that we could hang the feeders from, so that would mean it was a lot closer to the window. But equally, people can put out food on the windowsill. We have a blackbird that just comes to the windowsill, and she sort of does that begging chirping, and then you know that she wants you to like stick your hand out and put some food there. So the wildlife will come.
And you liked wildlife, you know, before things changed for you, but has it kind of helped to reconnect you, would you say?
Absolutely, definitely. It's made me appreciate it so much more. Yeah.
And actually that's beneficial for the wildlife as well, because yes, you're getting something fantastic out of it, but you're feeding as well, and they're coming, you know, they're interested, and that's a great thing to have, really.
The two-way relationship between human and wildlife is really important. Obviously, as urbanisation increases, etc., we need to think about how we're living with wildlife and working with wildlife and getting benefits both ways.
Yeah. Wildlife and health is something that we're going to be kind of looking at on Extra over the next few weeks. And I know you've been really looking into that area. What have you found?
That wildlife has huge benefits. So there have been a load of studies. In terms of general well-being, let me have a look at my... there was a recent study done by the University of Glasgow which found that socio-economic inequality in terms of mental well-being was reduced by 40%. In places that had good access to green areas. So if we're thinking about how we can get all people into wildlife and the well-being across our whole society, then access to nature is something we should be thinking about. There was another study that took in it was 250,000 people. This was done in the Netherlands, and they found that the people that lived near a green space or had access to green space rated their own well-being higher. So it's something that we're aware of. It has psychological benefits, it has physiological benefits, it has social benefits. So yeah, that's something I'm really interested in, and something I hope we can get out and try to make it common knowledge.
That's something for everybody as well, isn't it? You know, it's that connection, and that kind of I just feel better being outside. When I first got here, I did a little walk around the reserve. Actually, let's have a quick look at the long-tailed tit. They're live. Look at that, aren't they? They are cute. I know we're not supposed to say that they're cute, but they are beautiful, aren't
they?
Such
a good view
they
as
are
well.
beautiful. Have you ever seen a long-tailed tit? Have you seen a nest? Because that's a pretty special
Never
view.
Seen a nest. It's amazing, isn't it? It's spider webs,
Speak to me on all of them.
Oh, sorry. I've been watching really hard for a long time.
Okay, so I think, we might have a tweet coming in as well. Let's see if we can have a look at that tweet. Yeah, so Humans of Springwatch, hashtag, which is one. This is, who's it from? Can we see? From the RSPB in the East, and it says, I'm bipolar and used to take tablets, but Minsmere is my medication now. I mean, that's an amazing story. Do you think that kind of connecting can replace things like medication, or
I think
is it a balance?
It's really, certainly when I was in rehab, they encouraged us to get outdoors and do that sort of stuff. But I know for myself, like when I have a stressful day at work, the first thing I do is I open the back doors and go and sit in the garden. And you know, there's not brimming with wildlife, but you can hear it. There's birds flying. You know, we were talking on the scrape when we were out on the scrape that there's red kites flying over my house, and I live in the middle of Oxford. It's so weird. It's brilliant because it's like, I mean, they're really beautiful. And you just sit there and sort of, it is really calming.
Yeah. And I know you're a very busy man. You said there you live in Oxford. Just give us an idea of the things that you're up to.
Okay, how long have we got? No, I'm just teasing. So I have several jobs. I work for an organisation called Wild Crew, which is the Conservation Research Unit for the University of Oxford. So in that role, I predominantly work with clouded leopard conservation.
Okay.
So I do this sort of weird soap opera thing where I look at camera traps. So these are cameras that are placed on one tree and the other tree opposite, and if anything walks past, you sort of get the head, the body and the bum. So you get 3 chances, but some of them are quite quick.
Yeah, I bet they are, yeah.
And they're black and white images, which makes it even worse. So you're sort of flicking through like, what's that? So basically, I go along and catalogue, and we're looking at the relationship between the predators there. So the clouded leopard is the main one, but there's other large cats and things that would potentially prey on the same items. Then we're looking at the prey, and it's just sort of the story of the jungle, trying to figure out what's going on, because it's so hard to penetrate that deep. So we were talking before about windows to the world.
Yeah.
And that's a window to a world that I can't get to.
Yeah, because you're doing all that remotely anyway.
Yeah, like thousands of miles away.
But still really, really important work. So you've got the kind of balance of that going on through camera trapping, but also, you know, the kind of through the window stuff here. So you really are finding ways to connect, which sounds like it's really important to you.
It is, yeah. Well, it's interesting. So I was formerly a conservation biologist, and I had a bit of a nasty sports accident, winter sports accident, skiing essentially. And it was just before I was about to go to Africa to study bonobo. So I somehow managed to get this amazing job, 6 months living in the jungle, sort of adventure, Indiana Jones type thing. I was super excited.
Yeah.
And then suddenly world comes crashing down. I was like, oh God, what am I going to do now? You know, I can't do conservation biology research in a wheelchair because I want to be in the jungle. But actually, technology and luckily the sort of connections that I get through work at Oxford is that now I'm doing my job but remotely, and in a way that is accessible, and in the way that somebody else would do it normally as well. So I'm not doing it because I'm disabled. I'm doing it. I'm part of a larger group.
Yeah. Would you both? What do you both kind of think about technology and maybe social media as well coming in? Does that help you connect, or were you doing that already? Has it made a difference to you, Lizzie?
Absolutely. Before I was on Autumn Watch, I didn't have any social media accounts. It wasn't the kind of thing that I had the energy for when I was really ill. But this year I got Twitter, started talking to people, they started sharing their wildlife sites. It was great to hear other stories. A lot of people came up to me after Autumn Watch and said, oh, I saw your bit. I connect to nature in the same way, whether it's through depression or bipolar or anxiety, or the natural world helps me too. So that was really amazing to hear, because I wouldn't necessarily be able to go and meet these people.
Yeah.
They're all over the country, and that big journeys aren't something I can do regularly. But social media is a fantastic way to share information. So yeah.
Neil, connecting with other people is something I know that you're really keen on as well, you know, and encouraging people to get out and say, well, actually, this is something that you can do. It's not something that you can't do.
Yeah, I think there's a sort of inherent fear, especially, for example, when I was newly injured, you know, when you're in a hospital environment, it's very sort of easy, or, you know, everything's ramped, it's all the same thing. But suddenly when you go outside, there's sort of urban obstacles that you start to come over. But then actually, when you get to nature, it's sort of the same, really, or they're not even there if it's well designed.
Yeah.
So I think encouraging people to say, okay, so you might be a bit scared about coming to somewhere where there's a forest and there's a beach and there's hides and there's, you know, people running around. So actually, it's brilliant. It's just super easy. And I think some of this responsibility lies on the disabled community to sort of say, yeah, we want to go out there. And I think it's really good to be seen, because it shows that the money that's been invested, we're using it. And also, everyone else in the reserve today would have seen me going around and thinking, oh, cool, he's got binoculars on his face.
So is that one of the ways you'd encourage people? What other ways could you encourage people to get out there and just kind of do it?
I think start local.
Yeah.
Go to your park, see what the paths are like.
Start with your window, hey?
That's the most local, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then go to your nearest sort of reserve, whether it's OSPB or a different sort of organisation, and just see what they're doing and ask them, have you thought about how disabled people access this stuff? Because some of it might be as simple as changing a stile to a gate or something like that. That can just mean that you can get that little bit further. It doesn't have to be super expensive, it just has to be well thought. So a lot of it is common sense, to be honest.
And we've got the live cameras, of course, as well. So during the Spring Watch week, you've got all that extra stuff as well, which is brill. As I said, though, we are hoping to kind of look into this more over the next few weeks on Spring Watch Extra. Lizzie, can you tell us a little bit about a campaign that we've got going on?
Yes. Okay. So we've launched this campaign called Wildlife from My Window. It was launched on Emmy Awareness Day, which was the 12th of May, and we put it out with Action for Emmy and Spring Watch on social media, on Twitter and on Facebook. And it's encouraging people to explain what nature means to them, and however they can connect to nature, whether it's through cameras, whether it's through photographs, whether it's through your window, whether it's coming to reserves. What does nature mean to you? So the hashtag is Wildlife from My Window, because that's like an inclusive way that we can get, hopefully, everyone involved.
So if people want to get in touch with us, hashtag Wildlife
from my window.
from my window.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can let us know your stories.
Yeah.
Send us your pictures. You know, things that you might be seeing. And I think we do actually have some pictures to have a little look at. So, Lizzie, you've been taking some photographs from your window. Let's see if we can take a look at them now. There was one that was sent in earlier. I've got that. Who knows?
Ooh, it's exciting.
We've got someone else's.
Oh, okay, that's
well, you
cool.
you sent a fabulous one in of
It was a sparrowhawk.
a
Yeah.
sparrowhawk. Okay, but we've had some sent in to us as well. So let's see if we can take a look at those.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, nice one.
Fantastic. So this is from Sandra Smith on Facebook. She says, this woodpecker visits my mum's bird stand several times a day, right outside her front window.
Wow.
She lives in Shard End in Birmingham, and her name is Veronica Jarvis. She's not too good health-wise, but this surely brightens up her day.
Wow, it's not a bad shot, that one, is it?
It's
Yeah, I'd be
brilliant.
happy with that.
Yeah.
From
And
your
look, you've
window.
got all the different bird feeds.
So, as you said, encouraging the wildlife
encouraging
to
a
come
wild
to you.
range of wildlife, yeah.
Brill. Okay, let's see if we can see the next picture. Can we?
I have some other stories.
Oh, do you?
If you-
Yeah, go on, go for a story.
Okay, so Jennifer Carroll says, I have ME and looking after my garden birds and wildlife is worth the energy as it's so rewarding. We've got another one from Cordelia Lena. I hope I said that right. On days when I can't get out of bed, I so enjoy hearing the birds singing. At night, I listen to the foxes, wondering what adventures they're getting up to.
Oh, that's brill. That's really great. And I think actually we do have your picture. Yes,
Ta-da!
we do.
Yeah, well done.
Yes.
That's a pretty good picture. What have you taken that on?
This was just my phone, and my phone's quite an old, clapped out, will it work phone. So it's quite, it shows how, yeah, it is.
Are you using a zoom there?
I have binoculars.
Okay.
So I sort of put the binoculars up to the phone and sort of wiggle it around until I can see through and take the picture. But I mean, it just shows that wildlife will come, and it can be exciting and thrilling and interesting, and yeah.
That's great. And we've got the oyster catcher video as well. This is
Yes,
a
this
little
is
bit of
good.
footage that we got, so we'll try and play this in. And again, this is from a window,
Mm-hmm.
yeah? Let's have a look and see if we can see that. I love this.
Time
Oh,
lapse.
it's cool, yeah.
So cool.
You've got
Look how
chicks.
fast they move. Lizzie, have you got any info about this one?
I have no info about. I know it was posted to Facebook, and no, I don't have it. That's
just
all I
watch
know.
it, 'cause it's-
But it's on the Springwatch website, so you can go and have a look at the story and also see all the comments underneath.
Okay, I think it's come from Helen Sharpston.
Okay.
I'm hearing from Anne, thanks very much, Anne. And that's it, taken from her window. I mean, that's a pretty good shot,
She's
isn't
got a
it?
good
That's
window
pretty
there,
cool,
hasn't she?
yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Say that again to me, Anne. She's just telling me something different. Hilary Nelson. We got there in the end. Thank you very much, Hilary, for sending that in, because that is an amazing piece of time-lapse stuff there. Great. Well, we hope you'll both kind of add on to our campaign as we're going along. I mean, is there anything surprising that's kind of come from the situation you've both found yourselves in? Because you had an accident, it completely changed your life. Is there anything kind of good that's come out of it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So it's difficult when you have an accident because it's quite easy to see the negative.
Yeah.
And I think I sort of got to a stage where I was like, okay, draw a line under it and move on. Like, how can I use this to my benefit?
Yeah.
And I think I quite like being a sort of advocate. I think it's good. I think the more people that get behind a cause, the better. So, and I think it's quite important. And also, I think one of the things that people don't realise is that disability doesn't just mean wheelchair. And it doesn't just mean hearing or vision impairment. It covers a huge range of things. And the more you start sort of investigating that, and the more people understand it, and the conversation that happens around that, and things like this, you know, like I don't know how many people are watching this, but it's brilliant. We're talking about getting out and doing nature and doing something that's really positive. I think often the sort of message around it is so negative. I think having a really great news story, like I took a picture of a bearded tit and it's now been on there, and I'm super happy
There
about
you go.
it.
It's been on Springwatch Extra. It is brill. Lizzie, I know, have written an article for
Action for
ME.
Yes.
And that's, you know, what I noticed actually when I read that, if I'm really honest, was how positive that article was. It wasn't kind of, I find this difficult and I find that difficult. It was some of that, because you do find things, or you did, difficult, but it had this kind of incredibly vibrant feel
you.
about it.
Thank you.
Would you say that's kind of helped you maybe discover a bit of writing, or that some good's come out of
yes. So absolutely, I would rather it had never happened. And
Yeah.
I think everyone with ME thinks that and is waiting for the cure
Yeah.
for them to get better and not be limited. But at the same time, it's helped me discover writing, which is a massive passion of mine. It's given me a sense of perspective that I wouldn't have had before. So an understanding of what's important, happiness, as opposed to, you know, doing all the things and being busy. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What's next for you?
Hopefully keep writing, working with a couple more organisations about accessibility and all the different ways and all the different things that that means. Obviously recovering, hopefully, a lot of resting, and yeah.
Well, you need to take a rest tomorrow, do you think?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, it's great. It's a big effort. It's brilliant to have you back in the studio.
Thank
And
you.
Neil, what about you? Obviously, you're coming from a conservation background, so what's next for you?
So I'll keep on with the clouded leopards because, you know, I've got passion for those boys. I've been talking actually about doing something around sort of how humans interact with wildlife. So maybe something looking at sort of conflict zones and humanitarian sort of development stuff, and how humans and wildlife can live alongside. So fingers crossed for that one.
And keeping going with all your writing stuff as well. Your
Yeah,
long
so-
list of things
oh
that
God,
you do. It's
yeah.
quite incredible, really.
So I
It's
write
quite
a newspaper
incredible.
column, which I really like, because it's a bit like a sort of secret diary, and that's quite fun. And I do little nuances of life with a disability. And then I also work for Oxford University, making sure that they keep all their buildings nice and accessible for all the students.
You're a busy man. You are a busy man. Let's just take a look. I think we have got another photograph, and I absolutely love this one. So this is another wildlife from my window photograph, and this is a shot of an owl. Hopefully, if we can take a look at this one now. How
Oh, that's
amazing is
cool.
that?
I'm jealous. People have got better windows than me.
That one's by Helen Sharpston. I absolutely love that picture, and the fact that she must have been paying a lot of attention there, because that
Yeah.
owl is blending in.
Yeah.
It looks like a massive cobble, doesn't it?
It really does. So that's a fab shot. I'd love to know whether she's done what you've done there and actually put binoculars on that, or whether she's
it
kind of
was-
zoomed in from her phone. Amazing. And we do have a tweet as well, just coming in, just to finish us off. Oh, there we go.
Nice,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
That's lovely. That's Wildlife Garden. Wildlife from my window, literally wildlife on the window. That's
yeah.
nice. That is a
Fantastic.
lovely snail there that has stuck itself
But
to the
that's
window.
cool, because then you can see all the mussels rippling, and it's a really exciting thing to watch, actually.
Have you done that?
Yes.
It's
cool,
it's
isn't
really
it?
cool. Well, look, you guys should definitely keep in touch about all the writing stuff that you've got.
Absolutely.
We're
going
Twitter
on.
friends now. Yeah,
Oh,
we're,
you're
yeah,
Twitter friends. We're so
yeah.
connected here. We're so connected. Brilliant. Well, it's been absolutely fab to talk to you both. Thank you for coming in and for taking up our challenge and smashing the challenge, if we're honest. It's pretty
Thank
good.
you.
Pretty
I
good.
think we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Springwatch tonight. Yes, I should say that. You will be back, actually, won't you, in a couple of weeks to chat to us again?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we are
so we shall
coming
look
back.
See how the
forward-
campaign's going. Yeah.
Great. We shall look forward to seeing you again then. Thank you so
you.
much for today.
Thanks.